The name's Mabus, and Banjo Kazooie games are generally known for their cheerful, family-friendly tones. But that doesn't mean for 1 second that there aren't some dark elements that are tucked away in the cobwebbed corners for players to stumble across. Now, since there isn't too many in these games, this list consists of a top 5 instead of a generic top 10. But it's still a list nonetheless, which means that there's still some creepy elements that have managed to qualify for this Halloween special.
Pterodactyl Land itself is generally a pretty basic level atmosphere-wise. It is a supermassive Jurassic Park kind of place filled with dinosaurs, cavemen, and everything you would come to expect from something in the prehistoric era. So generally, there isn't any room for horror, right? I mean, you come to expect things like getting eaten alive and other dangers that come from surviving in the wild. But tucked away in this great ancient landscape are some dark things that are unsettling the more you stop and think about them. Now, you can't really ignore the fact that there are 2 caveman tribes trying to kill each other out because they don't think alike, but we still do this today, so as dark as it is, it's kind of normal. As awful as that is to say. But what's not fucking normal though is a young Styracosaurus going out for his leisurely stroll only to come back shrunk to 1/5 his size. Like, what in the actual sweet fuck happened to this guy during his walk? It's the ancient times, man. It's not like there's some radioactive nuclear waste disposals just lying around nearby. And any witches that are around are hanging out in Cauldron Keep, frying some bigger fish with the Big O Blaster. So how does a young Styracosaurus get miniaturized like that? I may be reading too much into this, and it just could have been filler for another mumbo task, but damn, it's kind of creepy. Imagine your neighbor going out for a jog and coming back the size of a kindergartner. You'd have so many questions, but would you really want to know the answers? If you are a longtime fan of the Banjo Kazooie series, it shouldn't come as a shock that many levels are toxic and dirty themed. It makes the villain look like a filthy pig too. More reason to root for the good guys. But what tends to happen in these levels are characters getting stuck suffering in these toxic environments, and it actually shows up quite often. You first come across it with Clanker in Banjo Kazooie, where this giant mechanical garbage disposing shark is submerged in used, dirty, trash sewage water, and you have to rescue him by lengthening the chain so he can reach some fresh air. Next, you stumble across Snorkel in Rusty Bucket Bay. This poor dolphin is stuck underneath the oily water of the dirty port, pinned underneath the ship's mighty anchor, struggling to move. So you must once again save a fish from certain doom by activating a chain. Deja vu perhaps? And just in case your contaminated water fix wasn't satisfied, in Jolly Roger's Lagoon, 2 innocent pigs are trying to enjoy a summer afternoon in the pool behind Jolly's bar. Only something is a little bit off about these porkers. They seem to have extra limbs. And the reason for this is because of the radioactive toxic waste from Grunty Industries that has been pouring into the pool while they swam. But hey, at least they know why they have a third arm. Tell that to Script, the Styracosaurus. But the most disturbing of them all, in my opinion, is the abandonment of Canary Mary. Back in the old mining days, the miners would take a small canary down the mine shaft with them to indicate whether there were toxic gases present in the mine. If the small canary died while you were down there, it was a bad sign, and then you needed to piece out of that place ASAP. Kinda fucked up, but better one small canary than an entire group of working family men. And when they were done, they still brought the bird back to the surface with them. Unlike in Glitter Gulch Mine, where they actually left Canary Mary behind down there to rot. In a toxic gas room, no less. But did she die? Nope. She just sat there stuck in her cage, unable to escape while her insides burned from toxic fumes. And for how long? I don't know. I mean, she wasn't even given the sweet, sweet release of death. Just agonizing, torturous pain. I mean, part of me can't really blame them, considering she is an annoying, filthy bird that crams junk in the armpit of her dirty, sweaty wing. But still, that's just cruel. It's no surprise that Cloud Cuckoo Land has some, shall we say, cuckoo things. So there should be no surprise that there are surprises in this place. And one of these surprises is Tootie, or at least her face pictured on the side of a milk carton. Now, just in case you weren't aware, there are a few places you don't want your mug hanging around on. One is behind the front till of your local convenience store. Another is on some sketchy dude's dingy basement wall with your eyes cut out of the photo.
I see you like cutting the eyes out of photos of women. My son is a big fan of that too.
And lastly, you don't want to end up on the missing label of a milk carton. Now, one of these things may lead to another, which is just creepy in itself, but what's in the giant trash can in Cloud Cuckoo Land is also enough to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And Tootie's picture on the side of a milk carton in Guffo's trash can will do just that, especially if you stop and think about it for a bit. Considering it says, "Missing, Tootie, last seen in Banjo Kazooie." Is this just another Easter egg? Or did she get kidnapped again? Maybe again for her good looks. But this time she didn't get so lucky and have somebody save her. Maybe she ended up in the beauty steal machine after all. It would certainly explain Gruntilda's sister Mingella's better looks as opposed to her more, shapely sisters like Blobdilla or Grunty herself. Another disturbing detail is whether or not Banjo even knows she's missing. He wouldn't even see that missing label at all either, considering it's only Kazooie who's meant to get in the trash can. I mean, Banjo could get in with the Shack Pack move into the empty Jolly's juice bottle and climb up the straw, but there is no reason at all for him to be on that island, so unless you deliberately send him in there to look at the missing label of his sister on the milk carton, Banjo never even goes to the floating trash can island. So, would he even know? Would Kazooie even tell him? If it's already too late, how do you break the news? Or would she just not even bother, considering after all the work of rescuing Tootie in the first game, she just gets caught again so easily? Hard to say. But one thing's for certain, it's definitely creepy to think about. I just couldn't leave it out. Originally, Mad Monster Mansion wasn't part of my list, as it was one of my favorite levels. A level that I always enjoyed because it was so fun. But then I realized it's okay to have a dark and scary themed world and still make it fun and enjoyable. Just because it has creepy vibes doesn't mean it has to keep you up at night. Even Halloween itself is based on everything frightening and uneasy, yet it is still celebrated and enjoyed by everyone, including kids. And in a Halloween-themed countdown, it would have been absolutely criminal to leave the Great Mad Monster Mansion off this list. This world was designed from the bottom up to be the very definition of Halloween. From its spooky midnight atmosphere to the ghosts and skeletons strolling around the premises, all the way to the jack-o'-lantern-like pumpkin that you transform into. This haunted house just screams October 31st. And it doesn't stop there, including a creepy church with a cemetery surrounding it that has gravestones that pop up and chase you. A giant hedge maze where its ghosts fly through its walls and trap you inside. Even a poisonous water well that houses a Jiggy. This place is absolutely saturated with creepy and dark elements. And just like Halloween itself, it ends up being just so much fun. One of the first things that you may have stumbled across during your adventure in Banjo-Tooie is the unfortunate story of the Grey Jinjo House, a demolished pile of rubble near their neighboring red, green, and orange Jinjo brethren. But enough of this structure survived to let you know that it was the house of the Grey Jinjo family. And if you notice the pattern of the number of Jinjos in each family, it's safe to say that the Grey Jinjo House held 10 members, a whole 20% of the entire Jinjo village population. A signpost beside what's left of the building reads, "In loving memory of the Grey Jinjo family. Passed away unexpectedly when a huge digging machine flattened their house." This of course comes just after Gruntilda's sisters rescued her and fled to Cauldron Keep, eradicating the Grey Jinjo family on their way. And what makes this extremely dark, aside from the clear obvious tragic loss, is the fact that you can clearly see fresh Hag 1 tracks going straight through the house. And because they rescued Grunty and escaped in the middle of the night, there's a good chance that the Jinjos were killed while they slept, with no warning, no reason, like the victims of the Frank slide. Went to sleep one night, and the last thing they heard was a loud rumbling sound before they never woke up again.
This has been Mabus, and if you thought the Banjo Kazooie games were safe from any sort of dark themes because of its E-rating, cartoony characters, and googly-eyed objects and items, then think again. Sure, it might not be any of the most terrifying things you'll ever see, but at the very least, it should send a good old Halloween shiver straight down your spine. So in the meantime and in between time, stay tuned for more.